Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Good morning. Can we please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the May 4th meeting of the Lorain County Board of Commissioners. It's nice to see a lot of happy faces here today. Every week we have a dog that we feature from our dog pound. So Commissioner Kalo is going to show you all the dog for the week.
Our featured dog this week is about a 9-month-old lab mix male. He was an owner turn-in from Vermilion. His name's Bailey. Come on, Bailey, turn around. Come on, let's see you there. Say hi to everybody. Say hi there. Look at that. He'll be available for adoption on Saturday at 3 o'clock. If he's not your type of dog, stop by. We've got a lot of other good dogs that would fit in your family. Come on, Bailey.
We have 42 dogs at the dog pound, so come on down or check the website out. You can look online and see what we have available too. Come save our dogs.
We'd like to start our morning out today with a proclamation and certificates for the Lady Raiders. Developmental Disabilities basketball team won the silver medal in the Special Olympics, and Dr. Amber Fisher, Superintendent of Developmental Disabilities. Doctor, would you like to come up at all while we do the proclamation, or do you want to send the coaches up?
I think the coaches could go out.
Okay.
Go on, go on.
Right up there at the front. We're going to let you be on camera today, too, after we do the proclamation and your certificates.
Go
I'm sorry.
I was going to say you have a lot of fans out there.
This is a proclamation in the matter of expressing our appreciation and congratulations to the Lady Raiders basketball team, silver medal winners at State Special Olympics. Whereas the Lady Raiders basketball team won the silver medal at the State Special Olympics on March 25, 2011 in Bowling Green, Ohio. And whereas this team is composed of fine young women, their supportive coaches believed in themselves and through hard work, sweat, and exceptional sportsmanship proved how a team can win together. Whereas the Lady Raiders from Murray Ridge Developmental Disabilities have been playing for 4 years and won the Division II championship in the North Section Special Olympics Ohio basketball tournament, and continued on to win the silver medal at state competition, whereas Lorain County Board of Commissioners would like to take this opportunity to congratulate each and every one of you fine women. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Lorain County, Ohio, is pleased to publicly express their appreciation and gratitude to Lady Raiders and their success, and this is a proud moment for Lorain County. Witness our signatures, Lorain County Commissioners Ted Kalo, Lori Kokoski, and Tom Williams. Thank you very much, ladies.
Did the coaches want to say anything before I read the names of the girls?
He's got certificates for the coaches.
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Real quick, Vanessa, Lisa, certificate of recognition. And before I go into this, I just want to talk real quick, if I can. I'm very proud of the Lady Raiders, and I'm very proud, actually, on Aunt Joanne Gall is on the team. So I just want to let her know how proud we are of you. Your family's very proud, and the county is proud of the entire team. So coaches, thank you so much for getting involved. Special Olympics is a great event. I was able to go to the event last year with my son, and it's just a great basketball, and thank you. Certificate of recognition, recognizing your efforts as assistant coach of the Lady Raiders and allowing your student athletes at Lorain County Developmental Disabilities to work together and compete in the Special Olympics and winning the silver medal on March 25th, 2011. Your guidance of coaching has allowed them to help become a team of fine young women. We extend our appreciation to you and the success of the team. Presented by the Lorain County Board of Commissioners on May 4th, 2011. Ted Kalo, President, Lori Kokoski, Vice President, and myself, Tom Williams. Thank you so much, coaches. You did an absolutely wonderful job.
Yay, woo! You're welcome to say something if you like before I read the names of all your girls.
I just want to thank the girls for a wonderful season. You guys worked really hard. We had a lot of fun, and I hope to see you all back next year. And hopefully next year we'll be the ones winning by 2. It was a good, hard-fought game.
All right. Nice job. Okay, now the certificates that I have, they all say, recognizing you as a member of the Ladies Raiders basketball team from Lorain County Developmental Disabilities and your team winning the silver medal in the Special Olympics on March 25th, 2011. Your hard work and skills achieved your success. We extend our appreciation to you for your accomplishment, and also to sign Ted Kalo, Lori Kokoski, and Tom Williams. So if you would like to come up and stand next to your coaches, I'll read each of your names, and then you guys can all get your certificates. First one I have, and they're in no special order, Katie Mahalik. Megan Craig. Dominique Flores. Sarah Ward. Yay! Sherry Reitenbach. Alicia Lawrence. Leona Hunsucker. Stephanie Budwig. Maria Poling. Jennifer Jones. Joanne Gall. And Brittany Bennett. I don't think is she here? Oh, good. Jennifer Hunsucker. Woo. Go down and take a picture?
Yep, we'll do it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come back again as champions again next year, okay?
We will.
Okay. I like the confidence. All right.
That was nice.
Yeah.
Good thinking, Teresa.
You're welcome. We have to have good news every once in a
Yeah. You have to have fun things as commissioners every once in a while.
while. That whole side's empty now.
Yeah.
You guys can move up.
It's like church shit.
Yeah. All right.
Madam Clerk,
You want to do the public defenders
let's do
now?
the public defenders now.
Judge Walther? I thought I saw him.
He's
Yep.
here.
Okay.
Wherever you want.
Morning, everybody.
Morning, Judge. How you doing?
Morning.
Morning.
I'm not sure, was I supposed to give a presentation, or
No,
I don't know if you
just
had any
some discussion since
any
you're
questions about the Ohio Public Defenders Commission or for Lorain County. Let me just say is that I really don't have a dog in this fight, except that this past year I was elected as the presiding judge of the Court of Common Pleas for Lorain County, and much to my surprise, when I went to the meeting for the Public Defenders Commission, which was attended by Kathryn Smith from the Ohio Public Defenders Office, I found out that I have 2 appointments to that board. So that pretty much is my involvement in this. The only thing else I can add is that I was working for the county back in the early 90s. Well, I worked for the county throughout the entire 1990s as a staff attorney for then Judge, well, he's still a judge, Edward Zaleski. He's been around a long time. And this issue was studied back in the early 90s. I understand it was studied again in the early 2000s. And back in the early 90s, it wasn't even a close issue. The cost for the Public Defenders Commission for Lorain County was just so far in excess of what we were spending at the time. And I went and reviewed the meeting that you folks had here back 3 weeks ago when this issue first came up before the board. And so I went back and also looked at the law, and I did find out that the County Public Defenders Commission, the statute that provides for this, was actually created in 1984. So this has been around a while. Every time it comes up, it appears that it's cost prohibitive. I've looked at the numbers in this case, and I don't know whether they're accurate numbers or not. I have emailed Kathryn Smith from the Ohio Public Defender's Office and asked her a question because I really don't know the answer. I went and read both Ohio Revised Code sections 120.13 and 120.14 to try to determine whether, what's the horse and cart in this. Do we study it first and then create a Public Defenders Commission, or do we create the Public Defenders Commission and let them study it? Because it's really not clear under the statute. I did write, and I sent the email out just this morning, and I CC'd Mr. Innes and Mr. Lubbe on that. And I did not get a response prior to the meeting here today because I only went, it's only something that occurred to me just recently by reading the statute, because it is not clear under the statute whether the commission makes the decision or whether or not it's you three. I mean, it's clear that the decision of whether or not to have a county public defenders commission is your decision, the three of yours, and yours alone. But I'm assuming that you would do it with as much input as you could get from judges, defense attorneys, your own budget commissioner,
Well, I think
whatever.
the concern with this, Judge, is going forward, hopefully, that the amendment that Representative Boos has presented with another representative of the budget bill to decrease our general fund costs is some type of give back to county government, starting at a 50% reimbursement from the current 35 and as low as 23 or 24% just a few years ago, and then a total phase out by 2017. The committees I serve on and serving on the board at the Commissioners Association all is tending to push towards a public defender's office of some sort, whether it's hybrid, only common pleas. There's so many different avenues we can take. As you know from the meeting we first had with Kathryn Smith, that if I'm of the opinion, and speaking with other commissioners across the state, that at least forming the commission does not lock you into doing a public defender's office. It gives you the ability to study if there's going to be a cost savings and which direction your county is going to go in prior to the legislation that's laying out there. If it ends up passing the Senate also, the public defender's office coming in here and than telling us how we're going to do it. That Kathryn Smith said they really like the local counties to start the process versus them just telling the counties how it's going to happen. Is that how you got from her meeting? Is that the same?
Yes, but just to reiterate, for my standpoint, as being also as the probate judge, is that once again, I really don't have a dog in this fight, except once I make those appointments, my job is done as the presiding judge. Much like, I appoint all 3 members to the park board. Well, and they run the park board, and they do a fantastic job, and that's what they do. So, I have no idea whether the numbers are going to bear that out. I think you would need a lot of input from a lot of different places. Like I said, from defense attorneys, from the judges, and it's what you want to do. And no matter what happens, at the very beginning of the statute, it says, right, if the county commissioners decide that they want this, that's how it gets started. It's your 3 decision.
Well, going forward, and I think, didn't Mr. Booth could not be part of this today because they actually called it caucus because they might be voting on the state budget bill, correct?
That's
Mr.
correct.
Williams? So, I mean, not knowing what's going to come out of, the full vote today, but we're assuming, though, that this is going to get carried over to the Senate, correct, for your discussions?
Yes.
Well, one of the things, with watching your commissioners meeting from 3 weeks ago, I heard that there was this, fluctuating reimbursement rate, which kind of surprised me because in reading the statute, it says right in the statute that the reimbursement rate is 50%.
That's never been true since we've been here. It's been as low as 23 to 24%.
I'm just telling you what it says right in the statute. It's
Maybe that statute's just a suggestion for the state.
It says shall. It says
It doesn't say may, it says shall.
It's in 120.18 and it's in 120.28.
So they've been ripping us off is what you're trying to say.
And it's also
Jim said for years we should send them a bill for the balance.
That's the reimbursement rate. It's also in 2941.51, which is counsel for indigents, and it says right in there 50%. So I don't know where these other numbers come from. So
they must have made additional changes down the line because it's
well,
always
they're the
been a flux in
legislature, and
they're-
we're not. So,
Well, that's my concern right there. As we go through and we give this to the state, or we create this with the state's input, what are they going to change later on?
Yeah.
They're saying it's going to go down to 2017. They're taking it over. In reality, what are we going to get?
well,
So,
that's a.
I mean,
excellent-
I know
that's-
it's not your decision, but yes, a concern. So,
Well, it absolutely should be a concern of yours. It's an excellent question. Is that we kind of know what we have right now, and we've had kind of consistent figures for a time period, but putting together an office, I don't know if there's some question mark as to whether or not that's going to be more costly or not.
Well, I think that was my hope, that if we could get the commission started, we could look at those in light of all the coming budget cuts that we're going to receive anyway, that at least we're in the process of looking at it. And if they pass the state budget and do guarantee at least a 50% reimbursement next year through the 2017 phase out, we'd be ahead of the curve, being proactive versus reactive.
Once again, that's your call.
Right.
yeah.
But if they're not successful in the phase out where the county is no longer going to bear the cost of the indigent attorneys, that would be my concern if they're not successful. And then we create the public defender's office. And my question, maybe I misunderstood 3 weeks ago at that meeting, if we were in fact to have the public defender's office at that $1.7 million figure that they're asking us to pay to have it, are we getting a reimbursement off that $1.7 million also? Or is it a flat $1.7 million, and that's the cost, period?
Well, once again, I've read, it was section 294151, which is under the current system that we have now with counsel for indigents that are appointed like they are now. 120.18, which would be a county public defender's commission, and 120.28, which is a joint county public defender's commission with another county. And each one of those indicate that the reimbursement rate is 50%.
At our current, the way we're currently doing it.
Right.
But if we were to go to the public defender's office, which they're proposing to us at the 1.7 million, is there any type of reimbursement rate
Yes.
in that?
Currently, under 120.18, it says in the statute that the reimbursement rate is 50%. Now,
But they adjust it every budget bill, is
Well-
what happens in the State House. And they come up with the number of, right now it's currently at 35%, could be 36% when it comes out of the budget bill, because they may take 1% and use that towards new computer software. There's some sidebar negotiation apparently going on. It's one under consideration. So currently it's only at the 35% the last 2 years, and they do guarantee we'll get a return. But I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. This isn't doing a public defender's office. This is a commission to study what the cost would be.
I understand that, but if we went with a full-fledged, we went through the whole process, we decided we wanted to go with the public defender's office.
That
Is
decision
there-
will be made 6 or 8 or 9 months from now, then we'd be able
Right.
to reflect back on what the state is going to give us exactly at that point.
I guess there's a trust factor involved if it's been, says right in the statute that it's supposed to be 50%. We've gotten as low as 25, and we're currently 35% when it's supposed to be 50, then I have a serious issue with, do I trust what they want us to do in the future, and are they going to do what they say they're going to do?
I'm not sure if I have it right here.
Judge, from the audience, there are lower numbers allowed within the statute. David Ashenhurst just found.
Well, I will trust that that's what it is.
He's online right now looking at it. So.
It's in 120.18 that says if the amount there isn't enough to do 50%, it's lowered proportionately. It's in 120.34.
See, that's why they're the legislature and we're not. They have they're out on
Right.
that. And I read that, it says that they shall reimburse at 50%, and then there's this little escape clause at the end, and that allows this number to fluctuate up and down. And it's in the Ohio Revised Code 3 times: 120.18, 120.28, and 2941.51, which is the current system that we have now, where we just appoint counsel for indigents, and they submit a bill. An attorney submits a bill to. Because I do have a criminal docket. I do the criminal non-supports, which is unusual for the probate judge, but I do have a criminal docket. I review it and make adjustments, and then order that the county auditor pay whatever I have ordered for that particular case. And just so you know, once again, I heard some of the comments by Commissioner Kokoski about what she had read in a blog online about how the attorneys have continuances and continuances. That is not true at all.
No?
No. We have a rule, 3 pretrials, and that's all that we will pay for as far on indigent cases. And I go down the list, 1, 2, 3, and if there's a 4th, 5th, 6th pretrial, unless it's some compelling reason, we do not pay, or I do not approve any payments for that. I don't approve payments for travel.
No judge does?
I don't know what other judges
Okay.
do. I really don't. I mean,
I don't normally pay attention and would not bring up a blog that normally they're, anonymous, but this one happened to be, a previous commissioner, so I had to take I had to look at it because...
You also have to understand that my cases are all felony 4s and felony 5s. I have the lowest level offenses. Yeah, murder cases, they take sometimes years. The criminal cases can take a long time. Mine don't take that long. So that's why I have the rule 3 pretrials, and that's it. And no travel, and we scrutinize all the bills.
That's
My assistant.
That's
and I
why
go
you
over
were
that.
able to bring us back $19,000 last week.
None of that money, that money that you spend for indigent counsel.
God bless you.
Is all out of the general funds.
Right.
Their separate budget for that. So I spend their money in essence, but I'm trying to be as wise as I can with those dollars. Anything that benefits the county, benefits the probate court, benefits the county. It's the circle of life.
Well, I think our discussion more centers on, should we go forward with the Public Defender's Commission to look if a public defender's office is cost effective, or shouldn't we?
And what you do is, my reading of the statute is that you would set a date into the future for which this date would begin, and then you would make your 3 appointments, I would make the 2 appointments, and then that commission would then go from that point forward.
And there's certain
So-
guidelines under the commission, what criteria each appointment has to fit. One has to be an attorney who, in the
Yes.
past, had been court appointed. There was a financial person involved in I don't have the statute in front of me.
I do. And there's different time periods, but
Right.
I think 2 by the presiding judge. One of the ones by each of them shall be an attorney. So I think one of yours has to be an attorney, and one of mine has to be an attorney practicing law in the state of
But
Ohio.
not part of the indigent appointment process.
Well, it doesn't say that, but that's what Kathryn Smith had said.
Correct, okay, that's what she had told me.
Because there's an inherent conflict of interest. If somebody is receiving appointments, then there's a potential conflict of interest. So we'd have to get somebody who does not receive appointments to take indigent cases in the county of Lorain, whether it be in one of the city municipal courts or whether it be common pleas courts.
Well, do we want to make any action? Want to think about it for a week, talk to other people out in the community, and come back with this? Or-
Yeah, I think it's something that we're going to want to table on that. If possible, I'd like to maybe set up a time where we could talk with the judges as well, the other judges, get their input on it. And I'd like to talk with Mr. Innes as well, and possibly the prosecutor. And then we could get together. I don't have the code here, to,
Yeah, I'd bring a couple of them.
but that would be my suggestion, table it for maybe
Kind of
2
get an
weeks.
idea from Terry Booth if he thinks it's going to go forward with.
Yeah, I think Terry Booth, and we should also invite Matt Lundy in as well. We got 2 good state reps here, and I think they would bring unique opinions.
Yeah, once again, I have no idea what I don't even know what the pending legislation is and
Yeah.
how that's going to affect us.
All right,
But
thank
you know how legislation can be proposed and then
Right.
it gets changed, so.
Well, I just think at least that we're in the discussions here, that we're being on the proactive side of talking about it, as Kathryn had suggested, instead of the state deciding how we're going to do it. It really scares me when the state tells us how we have to do something. It never works out well.
Well, as I stated when we had our budget hearings last year, there are no sacred cows. There should be no sacred cows. Everything should be looked at, so
Yeah.
every part of your budget should be continually scrutinized to see whether there is a way that we can do it more efficiently and whether there's still a need to do that. Now, of course, there is a need that we have to provide indigent counsel defense. The law mandates that, so.
Okay. How were you able to save the 19,000?
Well, I wasn't prepared to come here and talk about that.
I was
but,
just, if not, I was just curious.
But I just wanted to, there was some line item parts of my budget. I am provided, I believe the amount is $975 for utilities. We don't spend any money
Right,
for
I-
utilities.
No, well, under the Oracle system, though, cell phones and such are considered a utility.
Nope, nobody in my office has
Has
cell
cell
phones.
phones. You're a different
I
judge. should
have
be-
a cell phone, it's built to Jim Walther,
Right.
and my cell phone. Nobody else has cell phones, there's no utilities that we have.
Right.
Then additionally, the 2 that sticking out in my mind was the 1724 that was given to me. You closed the office downstairs, office services. You closed that, and as a result of that, believing that each portion of government was going to have
A need.
some costs in that regard, you gave some money back to us. 1,724 was in my budget.
Excuse me for a second, Judge. We didn't give any money back. What we did was we took the average amount of printing that each department in the general fund did over the last few years, and then we made them whole for their printing cost. When we shut off the services, we felt that they were still going to have printing needs, and to shut off the service and stop doing printing and then put the printing load onto the back of the departments. Certainly we saved money, but it didn't really accomplish a lot for those departments that still had printing needs. So we we did a historical look back, and then we averaged that, and we gave each general fund department that had an allocation of printing services a budget adjustment to reflect that.
Well, it was termed advertising and printing.
Yeah, it's just where the accounts
we
are.
We have no advertising costs in probate court, and the printing costs we are able to just fold into our printers, copiers. We do have a
Elise.
laminator.
Oh.
A laminator in the office, and with those we're able to achieve our printing costs by just using the equipment that we have. And so there were no added extra expenses. That was part of it, and some savings. Once again, we've begun to make sure that all of our employees are cross-trained in various jobs to make so that one employee can cover for another employee. Certainly the differences in the hours that we've increased has helped the production in the office, and therefore we're hoping over time that will lessen the need for an employee here and an employee there. So, but we kind of are running it. You've heard the term before, bare bones. We're down to the bone, and we're still bringing in more new cases every year. Guardianships of minors are up 30% this year, and that takes up a big chunk of my time. I spend all of Monday and all of Tuesday doing guardianship issues. So,
Well, thank you for taking a look at that. I appreciate it. I hope the other judges will look at it as well, because if you're getting utilities, I'm sure they're getting utilities. So, something that we'll need to look at.
well, I don't know. I don't know what their cost structure is like. So,
Right.
Well, I know in discussions they're cleaning up some of those old lines, because what happens is our Oracle system automatically opens accounts for things that aren't necessarily, when it says utilities, you're thinking gas, electric, and water bills, but it actually includes the cell phones and, those type of items. So, I mean, I was with Lisa yesterday or day before, and that's what we were talking about. So.
And I spoke with Lisa yesterday about those specific items, because we've gotten the package from her about submitting our budgets for the coming year,
Right.
and we're going to put zeros next to those items for the coming year. What would happen is that you'd put those same numbers in, you'd get the same numbers, and then the monies would be transferred to salaries anyway. So we're just going to put zeros next to those for 2012.
I think there's a process also, Judge, though, that you can notify county auditor, because the county auditor actually has to delete those line items out of the budget. We can't up here through the system that they actually take them out. So each department basically can do that. And I believe Tim's working on that through discussions with Lisa,
Well,
cleaning up some of those
Commissioner,
items.
what we do is we just zero the line items.
Right.
If he wants a permanent adjustment to his line items, all he has to do is let the budget director know, and then when we present the budget, that line item will just be neutral out, and the monies will be permanently placed into a separate line item.
Right, and there's some adjustment there, but Lisa was saying the auditor's office actually takes that out of Oracle, so it doesn't open it
Snodgrass
up.
is shaking his head no.
No, that's what Lisa explained to me yesterday. There was a process, they send it to the county auditor. Help us out here, Craig.
I'm glad you came. Straighten us up.
Yep.
Congratulations on the big win yesterday, by the way.
Just nipped
Two-
the
two
guy,
more
huh?
years.
Man, oh man,
Eked
that was
it out.
close.
Wendy vote for you?
That was one of my votes. Morning, Commissioners. I think Jim had it right there, is that if a department does not see that they need an appropriation in a line item such as utilities, they would just put in zero. It seems kind of historically, it just has followed the previous year's budget,
Okay.
and that needs to be maybe looked at, that process. So if you don't want utilities, put a zero in. If you want the appropriation in another line item account, that's really the way it should be done. As far as, we just have a general accounts like utilities. Everyone has that. Might not need it, might not use it, but for whatever reason, sometimes there's an appropriation put there. So yes, just put a zero in on your budget and put the money where you want it.
But do you then delete that line item out totally so it's no longer there on
Well,
the balance sheet?
It just doesn't show up on your account structure. When you run a funds available report, it just wouldn't show up if you do not have an appropriation.
Because there wouldn't be any funds available. You know, things are going to get tough around here. We may want to start paying the garbage bill over there. So we may need to put money in there because the auditors won't pay it out of anything but the utility fund.
Again, it's working with, with the budget department, obviously, as to where, and the other departments, where certain expenses should be paid out of. But again, if you do not have a line item appropriation, it's not going to show up on your report.
Yeah, just so you know, there's lots of line items that
Right.
are not utilized by each department
Right.
that are not viewable because of a neutral balance in those line items.
Correct.
Mr. Lubbe, we had
Thank you.
everybody here today.
Craig, sorry, just had a question on follow-up. In fact, I was given the same advice yesterday by Lisa on, there's a number of line items on our 2012 budget that we're going to submit zeros, but those would still stay there. They won't show up in the report that you're talking about. But
Correct.
truly, I don't need those. I want them gone. It just makes it easier for our purposes that when we're looking at this long spreadsheet, that there's not these existing. So what is the methodology to actually eliminate that as an account?
Well, the spreadsheet is provided by the budget department, so I'm not sure what
I'll take a look at what she's
forms they're
giving you.
using.
Normally, once we create accounts, we don't like to uncreate accounts because there may be a need for them in the future sometime. So
The accounts are activated because there are so many different departments throughout the county. You're looking at 26 different departments, hundreds of funds, sub-funds, so forth. Everyone has a little different, they would like to track certain items. So we do set up accounts, people call us, and we provide that. As far as the Oracle report is concerned, if you do not have a
The money,
budgeted amount,
it won't show.
you won't see it.
Yeah.
What you're receiving from the budget department isn't generated out of the Oracle system, or at least not coming from our system. It might be another system that they're
We'll take a look
using,
at it.
Jim.
Thank you. I appreciate
problem,
you
Ted.
guys.
Cleanup, though, but I know there's a concern
Yeah, I'll
about
give you a great
cleaning up
example.
money.
A couple years ago, before I started, every judge had a different supply account. But when I started, I said there's no reason to have these micro accounts because we end up transferring money between them anyway. We can still track whoever's spending whatever they're spending, but I don't need 6 accounts. I need 1 account. And so I have a number of those that I'm trying to consolidate and be more efficient. So, yes, guidance would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. Judge, you have a 10:30 you have to be at. It's almost 1:15.
I have about 40 criminal defendants and their attorneys and a prosecutor
It's
waiting
Wednesday.
for me
Yeah.
across the street.
It's
So
criminal
it's
day.
Wednesday is criminal day in probate court. So the entire 6th floor is criminal day. So it's nothing
Well, thank
else.
you. Any more questions?
I'm glad we're seeing you over here, not there.
Well, all I can say is I've said this. I'll say this to anyone who wants to listen. I love my job. I just absolutely love coming to work, and it's a real blessing and an honor for me to serve the County of Lorain as the county probate judge. And I hope I make the county proud. So, all right.
Thanks, Judge.
Anything further?
Keep
All
bringing
right.
more money back to us and you'll make us proud.
I'll tell you what, we've already done the numbers, and we expect our 2012 budget to come in under our 2011 budget.
Very
So
good.
We're not going to submit a pie-in-the-sky budget. We're going to submit the budget that we think will get us through 2012, and that number is already under 2011's. So.
Okay.
Well,
No court order for it then?
What's that?
You're not going to order it?
I will tell you that I will continue to submit court orders for my budget. I think that is the process that the Ohio Supreme Court has delineated that we must follow. Is once again, I didn't want to get into this today. I would be more than happy to come back and talk about this, but I believe it is my job as the probate judge to determine the reasonable and necessary amount to run the probate court, and but I do that as a partner. And last year, I ordered my budget in the exact amount that the commissioners gave me, in the exact amount. And I did that in 2010, I ordered the budget, not this year. I did it in 2010 for 2011. I think I will continue to do that. Once again, I have statutory and constitutional rules to follow, and I also have to follow rules that are promulgated by the Ohio Supreme Court. So those 3 sets of areas guide me in how I'm supposed to conduct myself as the probate judge in my dealings with the commissioners on my budget. And the preferred method, or the way that the Supreme Court talks about it, is for me to issue an order saying how much my budget should be. And I'd be happy to come back here and talk to you about that at another time if there weren't so many people waiting for me across the street. So
The good part about what we heard within your department is that the cost is far less per case now than it was a few years ago. So that's impeccable.
And it's gonna, I expect that to continue. I mean, more and more burden is being put on the probate court and the domestic relations court, juvenile court. You know, when families are in crisis, they look to the courts for answers, and more and more cases are coming every day. And I'm working morning till night, and I couldn't be any happier than to be able to do that. I like being busy, but we are very, very busy across the street, and we've just found ways to be more efficient. So, and I think everybody needs to do that.
Mm-hmm. Thank
All
you.
right?
Thanks, Judge.
Come again.
All right.
Madam Clerk?
Under resolutions, number 1, Job and Family Services bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Investments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
No advances, no repayments. Requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Travel.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, last week we spoke about the mileage reimbursement. It's on the agenda, so I figured I'd bring it up here. We talked about this back in January, and I wanted to go back and get your thoughts on reducing the mileage reimbursement from 51 cents down to 37 cents, something that's standard in the private industry.
I tried to get a hold of my accountant this past week, and I was unsuccessful in doing that, just to find out if it is actual 100% reimbursement for them when they file their taxes. Do they get all of that money back? The difference from what we're going to pay compared to what the federal government allows for? Is it dollar for dollar?
I don't know. I don't believe
No?
so. I believe it's just a deduction of that amount from your.
It's a long form deduction, which, depending on your tax bracket, will depend on the reimbursement rate. So it also depends on income levels, whether it meets the 2% rule. So there's a couple.
The
issues
majority
there.
of the people, like in Job and Family Services and things, how would it affect someone like that?
Well, under the IRS
Or Children's Services?
under the IRS benefits rules. Well, first off, Children's Services can adopt their own travel policy, so let me make that understood. Okay. They're under a governing board. Right now, my understanding is that their policy is to follow the county commissioner's policy, but they're free to choose and file their own travel policy with the county auditor. Secondly, under the IRS rules, it does allow for certain workplace expense deductions on your long form, and I believe travel is one of those. But it would be similar to any other long form deduction where you would get a percentage back based upon your tax bracket. So if you were in a 20% tax bracket and you had $1,000 in travel, that would, after making those deductions on your 1040, you would see about $200 back of that. So you see about 20%. Those in a 15% bracket would see 15%.
It comes as a
et
deduction
cetera.
off your gross income, because someone who does a lot of travel with my private business and road, it comes off of your, if you make $50,000 and you had $3,000 in travel, that would come off of your top end, I believe, and I'm not a CPA, and my CPA's been ill.
On a
too,
private business, you can take a standard mileage rate, or you
Correct.
can take a depreciation rate.
Correct.
As a added rate for things that you do for the employer that are non-reimbursed, it comes off of the long form. It's a little bit different. And so depending on your tax status would depend on your reimbursement on those mileage.
It isn't a dollar for dollar
No.
deduction.
And again, when we did the calculation, we were looking at $4 a gallon for a 14-mile vehicle. Comes out to about 28 cents per mile. So add another 15 cents on there. 51 cents is pretty extreme for mileage reimbursement.
At $4 a gallon gas, 14
Yeah.
miles a gallon? Okay. No, I just don't know how that's going to affect the people as gas is going up.
I know, it's,
That's
they're
a
talking
concern
about
to me.
$5 a gallon, and, I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
have
just
concern with
highway
that.
robbery, what they're doing to us, and especially when it sounds like the oil company, it's not like they're hurting and they're making millions of dollars on the backs of all these people.
It's
We're
the-
hardworking people, taxpayers, and
Well, and that's the thing, the taxpayers, though, they're in the private industry, this is the mileage reimbursement that they're getting is anywhere from 34 to 37 cents from companies I've talked to. They're not getting the 51 cents, that's the federal government's reimbursement, the IRS, but I'm just thinking we should try to cut it and get more in line with the private sector.
well, in essence, we're going to be giving those employees who are required to drive for their job a pay cut.
Yeah,
And I'm not sure exactly, I mean, how much of a pay cut is that going to be per person? I'd like to kind of get an idea
yeah. Well, we have a lot
how
of
many
county-
people are driving and how many miles are they driving.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of vehicles here that continue to stay idle, and that we went through, we looked at the charts, we got 20 vehicles, normally you're using about 4 or 5. They have a lot of vehicles that are going out, but they're the same 4 or 5 vehicles.
Everybody wants to drive the nicer ones that don't break down.
Who are we going to affect if we make this change? Only commissioner departments, and do we have that many people getting reimbursement other than like the coroner?
The law changed some time ago, which allowed, and I believe it came down as part of some Attorney General opinions several years ago, that allowed each governing agency and an appointing official to develop their own travel policy and reimbursement rates as long as they filed that travel policy with the auditors. And I see Craig shaking his head yes to me. So very few have continued on with our travel policy, but some have. The only effect would be directly on those departments that are under the commissioner's umbrella of authority. All other departments outside of that, whether they be general fund or not, are free to adopt their policy as they see fit.
How much money are we spending on mileage reimbursement?
I couldn't tell you that,
Can we get
Commissioner.
that?
Well, I
There's
know
not.
what mine's been the last few, well, mine's total travel, mine's just not mileage. I know I have been anywhere in my travel, and Tony's back there, anywhere from 1,200 to 2,200 a year, that's my travel and overnight stays, because I normally don't take meals or anything, I eat anyway. But I know mine's been anywhere from 1,200 to 2,200 a year.
Good thing I don't take travel and
Let
meals,
me-
because I'd be like $1 million in meals.
Commissioner, let me
$30 per day.
Oh,
let
darn.
me, if I may, respond to your question, Commissioner, about with regard to the overall effect. Under our travel policy, there's only a small amount of people that are allowed to use personal vehicles to travel. The bulk of our employees are required to use a county vehicle. So we don't incur a lot of travel cost reimbursement. There's a few folks at Job and Family Services that would be affected by this policy. I know that they do some traveling in their own vehicles.
And why wouldn't they not be using a county vehicle?
Because there's not a lot of vehicles out at Job and Family Services available. And I'll give you for instance,
Last one yet out there?
Workforce Development doesn't have a vehicle, but we get reimbursed at 100% for any costs associated with workforce development.
So
through
that
our-
doesn't cost us anything.
we are allocation, but they do have to drive back and forth to the admin building. We have a vehicle at 911 and EMA, so they're able to use a county vehicle. Strangely, what happens is we put a vehicle out at 911 and it only gets 8,000 miles in 10 years because we're mainly using it in and about.
Back and forth.
Back and forth for those issues rather than reimbursing mileage. Record Center doesn't have a vehicle, but we've tried to get them to use the 911 vehicle and have a cooperation there. So a few of our outlying areas don't have access to a government vehicle, so there's a little bit of mileage reimbursement, but it's minor. Any kind of additional travel that isn't what I call in and about travel requires the use of a county vehicle. So we have under the commissioners, we have a minor amount of reimbursement.
Again, it's just setting the stage for it. Hopefully the other elected officials will continue to go through and reduce it. My big thing is just getting it more in line with the private sector. So 51 cents, I mean, that's a good amount of money. Going down to Columbus, you get round trips, what, about $150?
120 something, I would guess.
Yeah. So.
Why don't you take a county vehicle? To
Why don't I take a
Columbus?
county vehicle? Well, because I leave normally between 5:30 and 6 in the morning to get to Columbus for my
Can't you take a
8,
car
9 o'clock.
home from here?
I've never used a county vehicle.
I
I don't
know.
have any county, no county phones, no county computers. I don't use county items. So
I guess
no.
before I make that decision, just for the record, I've never taken mileage reimbursement. Mine is 0, overnight stays 0, everything's 0. I did have a county vehicle when I first started, but the first time we enacted the sales tax, I turned that county vehicle in, and I haven't driven it since. But I think to do something just to do it may not be the right thing to do. I think if it's going to actually save us money and a good amount of money, then it might be something we want to look at. But I think I would rather see exactly how much money the Commissioner's Department is paying out in mileage reimbursement before I would agree to do that.
I understand your request, Commissioner.
Going off memory, I think just for...
So we could hold off for one more week, Tom?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay. Did you have something else that you want to talk about that?
Nope, that's it.
Mr. Kalo?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
Bills?
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Mr. Kalo?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
What about the, last week we held 3 items. Were you okay with the server and the other?
Yeah, the
what else?
server, we got a hold of them. They actually gave a great explanation on it.
Okay.
The Clerk of Courts, I'm still waiting. We sent out an email asking for
Or
data
not?
from him. You know, what I would like to know is he came back, he said, well, we get 50%, 57% from North Ridgeville for passports and that.
Yeah, that letter that we got?
Right,
Yeah.
but it doesn't give us any figures on it. So, I mean, what is it, 57% of what dollar amount?
They're
So
not back
that's
on
not
this
in there
week's
this
thing,
week.
so-
Is it okay to put the server back on this week?
It
The
is.
server is in there.
I thought she said it wasn't. I don't think it is.
It's not on requisitions this week. Or was it appropriation?
It was appropriations.
Yeah. Yeah, because you had the 2 signatures removed, and then all 3 of us signed it again.
Okay, and then I thought there were 3 things that you wanted to hold. No?
I can't remember if the other
I
one.
recall those 2, but I don't recall
Okay,
the
all right, so we're good.
Yeah.
Everything's, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the server's here.
Server's there.
There was nothing on Ron Nabokowski's request, but I spoke to him Monday, and he was explaining the revenues that it generates, so I don't have a problem with approving the move for him. Again,
Are
it's
you
not
still
general.
in the middle of discussions with them?
Yeah, that's not in this week's
Okay.
agenda either,
Okay.
so we can
Probably
go-
not
we'll-
anything pressing, so we can wait
Yeah.
another week.
Yep.
We'll put another request into the to his office.
Okay.
Okay.
Jim? Did I say that all right? Authorize various personnel actions as in the same way.
I got you.
Jurisdictional Lorain County Commissioners.
Got you all messed up, didn't I? Sorry
Mr.
about that.
Cordez?
Thank you, Commissioner Kalo. I do have 2 hiring decisions at Golden Acres that I want the board to look over. Also, we have an appointment with Gary Crow to discuss the United Auto Workers contract with Children's Services. We did have him at 10. I did send somebody out to push him to 10:30, so he'll be waiting for us to go over that contract. I wanted to let you know that that's going to happen pretty quick. Also, an update on talks with the United Steelworkers of America and their collective bargaining agreement. those topics are allowable under the Sunshine Law for executive session, so it asks at the conclusion of the regular board meeting today, we go into executive session to have those talks. Thank you.
Jim, real quick, on the hirings and that, I get a lot of, because it's brought up through meetings, and people are asking, how would they go about getting a job like that?
All they have to do is stop out the county home and put in an application. We're always seem to be looking for, especially LPNs, followed by nurses' aides. The RNs don't revolve very quickly, but we seem, like most nursing homes, to always have a shortage of LPNs and the nurses' aides. It's not as bad as it was a few years ago when we were hiring. It seemed like we were hiring a handful every week. But if they would stop out at Golden Acres, right on Levitt Road in Amherst, and fill out an application, or go online. Our application is online at loraincounty.us. They can fill it out, and it'll go to the personnel department, and it'll be forwarded out to the county home for review. Love to have more applicants.
What's the pay on it, do you know?
Excuse me?
The pay, hourly range?
I don't have the hourly range here, but it is a it's within market acceptability. In Lorain County.
No, I was just really trying to get it. So
yeah, I wish I had it, because we haven't really done this kind of push. This is really good to get it out there. What I can do is I can bring more information, and we can try it again next week. But I know if they go to loraincounty.us, go to the HR section, they'll be able to get the application, and we'll get some information posted about the rates.
Okay.
Approve and waive the reading of the same in the County Commissioners meeting minutes of April 27, 2011.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Authorize payment in the amount of $4,406.07 to Ohio BWC for manual class 9439 contract coverage for Sheriff Auxiliary personnel, EMA, Homeland Security, Emergency Volunteers personnel, and Community Service personnel for the 2010 policy year.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Under Community Development, enter in sub-recipient agreements with the City of Elyria and Lorain for purpose of outlining their responsibilities and terms of compliance with Neighborhood Stabilization Program as outlined in grant agreement with the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Elyria will receive not to exceed $583,000, and Lorain will receive not to exceed $672,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Cortez, County Administrator.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Commissioners, I am pleased to inform you that we have received confirmation from Team Neo and Inside Business that, okay, I'll take a pass. I didn't know.
That's all right. Go ahead.
Mine was
Go ahead.
addressed.
You started.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All three of us were
Look,
ready. Go ahead.
gonna start going
well, you're on it
wild.
right now. Why don't you just, pop it a boop, take it from there.
Your report, Commissioner Kokoski.
Well, we haven't had Mr. Innes yet,
Yeah,
but I just
Mr.
maybe you
Innes.
want to pick up on this. You guys want to speak on this?
No, go ahead, Mr. Cortez.
Go ahead.
Well, no, it's all right. I'll yield,
We're
and we can have
kidding.
some dialogue.
That's all right.
No, go
It's,
ahead, Jim.
it's,
I'll pass to Mr. Innes
No,
at
go
this
for
point.
it.
No,
No
go
further
ahead,
comment.
Commissioner.
go for it.
I have no report, Commissioner.
Now we scared him. Go ahead. You can talk about it.
I'll-
All right. Well, we got a letter from Team Neo Cleveland Plus, the Inside Business magazine, and it says, on behalf of Team Neo and Inside Business magazine, we would like to congratulate the Lorain County Board of Commissioners on being selected as a finalist in the categories of business expansion, retention, and fostering entrepreneurship in the 5th annual Team Neo Economic Development Plus Awards. So we're doing a good job up on the 5th floor. The Lorain County Board of Commissioners will be recognized as a finalist in the category of business expansion, retention, along with Team Lorain County, the Lorain County Growth Partnership, and Lorain County Port Authority for their combined efforts in the expansion of U.S. Steel Corp. Additionally, the Lorain County Board of Commissioners will be recognized as a finalist in the category of fostering entrepreneurship, along with Lorain County Community College and Lorain County Chamber of Commerce for their overall impact of GLIDE in 2010. So this is going to be happening, I think, June 17th. And if you want tickets, you can call 216-363-5428.
I do have something to add, even
Go ahead.
better news, because we're actually in 3 awards. We're also in collaboration with the Growth Partnership, Team Lorain County, the city of Lorain for the attraction of Heidelberg Distributing Company out at the old former Ford plant that's being redone. So we're finalists in 3 categories. We have won, I believe we're 3 out of 4. Hopefully we'll be 4 out of 5 this year. We'll pick up another award. But since the awards have been out there, we've been very, very successful at capturing the attention of Northeast Ohio with our programming here and been recognized as a leader on some of these events in Northeast Ohio. I'm most anxious to see that, hope that we get an award for the $92 million investment that U.S. Steel has made on the lake. That is a monumental investment, and we work real well. Somebody that needs to be added to this, I must say that the state of Ohio worked very closely with us on the U.S. Steel proposal through the Department of Development to make that happen. Unfortunately, they don't get to submit as a partner here, but they were very instrumental. So we're in 3 categories.
Awesome. The other good news that I have, we got a breakdown of all of our income, our revenue for the county year to date, and comparing our revenues from last year in this month, 2010 to 2011. In sales tax, we're up $382,000. Local government so far $144,000. Interest, we are down $148,000, but that was expected. We're up $47,000, almost $48,000 real estate taxes, down $34,000 in conveyance fees, up $25,000 in auditors fees, up, I'm sorry, where's that at? Treasurer, down $27,000 in treasurer fees, but an overall, the total, we're up $743,279 from last year to year to date. So that's good news. Things hopefully are on the upswing, and I just hope it continues to increase and not decrease. So,
Commissioner, can I ask you to take a look at, you have the 2008 figures there?
I do.
2008 was our last average year when we were moving forward, and I think there's still a significant decline in the revenue from 2008 compared to...
Well, 2008 it was 19.6, and so far this year it's 15.7. So yeah, we're about $4 million down compared to 2008.
So, and
overall,
I believe there was, we had an advance we pulled back. So
I took that into consideration.
You took that into consideration. Mm-hmm. So, while it's a positive note, I don't want the public to think that we're quite out of the woods.
We're not out of the woods, but at least we're going in the right. The curve is going up and not down. So,
right.
Yeah, we still have a ways to go. There's no doubt about it, but we are hopefully getting there.
You're looking at my sheet over here.
Oh, is that your sheet? I'm sorry. No, it's just that I'm real happy and real pleased with that too. But sometimes the public doesn't get the other piece of the equation, right, that was still down almost $4 million from the last year that we were on trend, what I want to call it, which was 2008. Our revenues were never significantly growing, but they were still moving in a positive direction. So we have a long, long way to go to get back to 2008 to reestablish ourselves. That's all.
We do, and we're doing a lot of things, I think, to get us to where we need to be, all the consolidations. And I want to thank Sheriff Stamiti for what he's doing, even though we're having these tough economic times. A lot of times government will pick on their safety forces, their police and fire to scare people into passing taxes and things like that. But ever since we've had all these tough times, we have never jeopardized our safety forces. Even while we're cutting everything else, we're still trying to put more deputies on the road. And I think that's very important to know that this board is committed to our sheriff's department and our safety forces. So I think that's a great thing. Okay. I think so. Unless you spark something, and I think, congratulations to all the winners of the election yesterday. We'll work well with whoever the new mayors and council people will be.
Mr. Williams?
Yeah, and I just want to thank Longfellow School for inviting me to a program last Friday called Real Money, Real World. It's a great little program where you have the kids come through. They have a budget, and they have to decide what they're going to spend their money on. And it was interesting. First kid came in, and he wanted to get the big car, so he spent all his money on the car, and found out, hey, I don't have any money to put the gas in there. And after coaching him, going through it, we were able to get him into a house, pay for groceries and everything else. So it's a great program.
That's cute.
I want to again thank the students, the school, and everyone that participated in that. It was just a very fun event, and thanks again. And to go back to the sales tax increase, that's great news, but I just want to let people know we are still looking at that deficit. And in 2012, it's going to be hard. 2013 is even going to be even more challenging. So we have to go through. We have to look at cuts throughout everything still. And it's unfortunate, but I'm glad to see that people are spending more money here. I hope they continue to shop more in Lorain County so we get that revenue. And I hope everyone has a good Mother's Day coming up, all the mothers out there.
I actually was on the phone this morning with the settlement department to find out exactly, like, if somebody has a $100,000 house, how much are they paying for the TB clinic? I thought, well, maybe if we can, do something with that levy and combine them with the health department and do something, some combining of services that way. If we can eliminate that, maybe our residents would be more inclined to pass like a quarter 50-cent sales tax. But according to the figures I got today, for a $100,000 house, it's only like $3 a year for the TB clinic. So it's not going to be a great enough savings to offset the sales tax. But yeah, we're going to need to do something, and maybe even if it's just a quarter and not a 50-cent sales tax to put on the ballot at the end of the year, might be something we might have to look at. Pardon me?
80% don't tell you enough already.
80?
Every time a sales tax issue put on the ballot, 80% turns it down.
57% last time. We did better than the average, Mr. Newman.
We're closing the gap.
Yeah, we're closing the gap. 80 the first time, 57-43 the
I think
second.
the last time, because it was imposed and the people felt like they didn't have a choice in the matter, I think, if we're showing or if we're proving, things as we go along, and even if Mr. Williams, has a different set of people that he deals with, and maybe if we all come together and feel that it's the right thing to do, and just have to make that decision here coming up soon. As you have to come up to the microphone.
Yeah, Mr. Newman.
Don't worry, Mr. Newman. I'm going to get you to put a sign in your yard next time.
I'm going to put a sign in my yard, trust me. Randy Newman from Lorain. Simply enough, I mean, the example we have is just like Palmer School District yesterday. The 8th time they went for the levy. Government doesn't stop. They keep coming back relentlessly. And we can't afford it. It's that simple. We cannot afford it.
Well, I know when the sales tax people were paying the sales tax, I didn't get one call that said, I can't afford the sales tax. When you pass a school levy or something like that.
Well, they knew that it wouldn't change if they called you to tell you that they couldn't afford it. But in November,
but I
they
don't
told
think
you.
people really
in
felt
November,
the
they
pinch.
told you they couldn't afford it. Clearly.
I don't think. Did you feel the pinch when you were paying that additional sales tax?
Well, right
Most
now,
people don't even
I
notice
still
it.
pay it at $2. When I pay $1, I pay $1.06. When I pay $2, I pay $2.13. I still see it occasionally.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I know with the sales tax, I mean, we are one of the lowest in the state. But it comes back to people just having a hard time with it. That's going to be the challenge on it. It's additional revenue coming out of their pockets. And, I live in the city of Amherst, and we had a great project going on there with the rec center and the schools and that. And, I was for that project and got defeated. And that's a local project there that would have benefited the county, but also benefited the city of Amherst. But to Mr. Newman's point, there are people out there where they're looking at every nickel and dime.
Yeah, especially
and
with the
it's
gas
very
prices.
tough times right now.
Agreed, but I think we'll just hopefully the taxpayers will decide what form of government they want, and we'll move forward with that, with an increase or without an increase.
Correct.
So.
Yeah, I mean, we have to, on their decision, that's where we're going to come through, and we have to make the choices on what's important, and what's going to become important is what's mandated by the state.
Right.
That's
Well,
what
we
it
just
comes
talked
down
today
to.
about the awards that we're getting through Team NEO and the good things that we're doing in our community development department. But like the community development department is not a requirement, it's not a mandated service, but is that something that the residents would like to see eliminated because we have to fund the courts and we have to, fund our mandated services? So those are the things that we'll have to look at if...
Don Romantic just swallowed his tongue.
I'm sorry, Don. I mean, we're doing good things. We've created a lot of jobs. We've, retained and expanded companies that are here, and that's important thing is to, create jobs and keep the ones that we have. So those are the things that we'll have to look at, all the non-mandated services, if we have to cut $4 to $6 million, unless we sell one of our properties, and we'll be good for another year. Buy us some time, I guess.
Well, I think what we need to do is we need to continue looking at what we can cut today, and then hopefully, if it does go on the ballot, the individuals will see that we are continuing to cut, and it's a process. We just have to go through and cut as much out as we can this year.
Well, I think the process, not to interrupt you, Tom, is that we still have to do it with the elected officials to see what we're going to eliminate. It just can't be our decision when they have mandated services like we do. We've got to work with the elected officials to get that done. I think the dialogue's got to be there with all the department heads on what can we do without, what doesn't have to be done, and then make those cuts accordingly.
Well, I agree with that as far as getting input from them. I know you're getting some input from the judges, but my request came back. I'm not able to meet with them until June. So, but we'll go through, we'll work with them, we'll get their input, and we'll do what's best for the county.
Public comment?
Oh, she couldn't wait.
Oh, sure,
Can we-
take
Man.
it easy there.
Can we do board correspondence
Oh,
first?
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Board
Yeah.
correspondence? Discussion.
One moment, Shirley.
I didn't think
Kayla,
we.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski,
Aye.
Mr. Williams.
Aye.
Go ahead, Shirley.
No
Okay, go ahead, Shirley.
I didn't think we were there yet. That's why I jumped like that.
Just look so
Shirley
anxious.
Shirley R. Johnson, Oberlin. I'm speaking today as one of several disgruntled voters. I know you can't fix the results. That's not what I'm talking about.
This isn't Chicago, Shirley.
Well, a lot of, even the smallest areas of government can be corrupt. In Oberlin, I think in many places, 3 years ago, precincts were changed. There was a lot of trouble. People had to wait 3 to 5. I know I waited 3 hours, and then I got special treatment in order to vote at where I voted. After that, precincts were consolidated. I now vote at Phillips Gym. For those who don't know Oberlin, to get to it's about a little under a mile from my house, and I have to drive. The sidewalks aren't so great, and I can't walk that distances outside anymore. I do exercise other places. You go down, I'm using this piece of paper to show one long block called Woodland Avenue that ends in entrance to the field house. The other way you have a shorter block called Union Street that dead ends into Phillips Gym. So that both these streets end in Phillips Gym and the entrance to the field house. Both roads, Union and Woodland, are completely parked with student cars. The idea was it would be lovely to have that parking at the field house for us voters. The field house parking is completely full most of the time, usually with student cars and people that work in that area. So that when you drive in there to vote, you may have to go around a number of times to find a parking place. That isn't my major complaint about the whole thing. It's one serious one. Others have complained about it too. When you finally get there and get parked and get out of your car, you have some distance to walk. If you know Phillips Gym, it's a big building with L's and all kinds of things. The first time we voted there 3 years ago, there's signs and flags and so on, so we knew where to go. It also was warmish weather, and they had the doors open that are now locked on the parking side. So when you arrive there now, you don't know where to go to vote, particularly if you're a new voter. Yesterday, I happened to find a parking spot near the front entrance of the building. So that's the direction in which I went. And they have steps there. They've never had banisters there until about 4 or 6 months ago when a retired professor fell, so they put up a banister. There's also a steep ramp there. When you get up the ramp, which I did, I couldn't get in the doors near the ramp. I had to walk down to the end. When I got in there, still no vote, nothing that tells you how to get to where you want to vote. When I got in there, I was told there was a desk with a person manning it, womaning it, as so happened. I had to have ID identification to get in the building. Well, I thought if they were going to do that, I was going to lie down and scream. But they didn't. They gave me the directions of how to go down a long hall to get to the furthest gym where the voting was. I got in there. The signs on the number of tables, I don't know how many tables for voting. The signs were so small on the tables you couldn't even tell which table to go to. That might be the one that you were going to vote at. But I made it to the table I was supposed to vote at. They had some new workers that weren't quite sure how to find my address and where I should vote, but eventually I got to vote on the one item that was on the ballot in Oberlin that I wanted to vote for very much, the library levy. I complained, as I did at other elections, to the head of the polls there. She remembered me. She said she'd given my complaints to the Board of Election along with many others that they received. They were still receiving complaints yesterday. The reason I'm saying it here is because I couldn't get none of us could get any satisfaction there. I've been told I can't get any satisfaction here either, but at least I hope I'm getting it on the air. I hope other people who have the troubles voting do so. I don't know whether I said I've been voting since I was 21. I've not missed an election, and this has been the happiest voting experience I've had.
Sorry to hear that, Shirley. If you can get that all down in writing for us, though, I'm sure we can forward it to the Board of Elections. We are their funding authority.
Yeah, can we have somebody contact Paul Adams about that?
I talked to him.
You talked to Paul Adams?
Here.
Can we get a letter?
I'll talk to him.
Okay.
I have to agree with Shirley's comment, though, that it probably isn't going to have much effect even from here. But I certainly can let him know that the concern has been voiced here in the hearing room. I usually do forward those over to...
Okay.
We'll send him a copy of the tape so he can hear Shirley.
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth Rummix, Oberlin. I happen to vote at the same place. It is indeed very inconvenient for parking, in addition to which to get into the building from where presumably one gets in, the back of the building, not the front, is quite a long, long walk. There were 2 small American flags on the path halfway down the walk, and once you got inside, there was like a clothesline strung with a handwritten sign saying vote. Go that way. It's a long, long walk. I, too, made a complaint about how inconvenient it was for people, and that I personally knew several people who said, I can't walk that far. I'm not going to vote, however important that vote might have been to them. At which point, the woman there who directed me to the table I go to nodded her head and said, yes, others have complained already today, and the person at the table also said that. Now, I know that's not your responsibility, who sets up the precincts and so forth, but it really is not a very good place for the average citizen to vote. It's ideal for the students. And that, of course, raises a whole lot of other issues, which I won't go into here. But it is most inconvenient, and I think, indeed, as Shirley said, to get this on the air, to perhaps get other people to make a protest and see if there cannot be found a better way, more easily, for the average citizen to vote would be extremely important, especially coming up with the elections as they will be coming
Is there
up.
a suggestion from either one of you as to a location there?
Well, we were considering whether Grace Church, the Lutheran church, which is a block or 2 up the street, has a fairly good parking lot and does not, I believe, probably does not have steps. Or the Catholic church a little further down the street, which is a little further on the edge of Oberlin, but might take in the whole southwest, northwest side.
You know,
But they may find a better place. Again, this is not necessarily your bailiwick, but it is a very important issue. With all one hears and reads about making it more difficult to vote, trying to put people into voting absentee, which has its great disadvantages and so on, it seems to me that somewhere along the line we need to make a little bit of noise about this.
Just a question. You said you used to vote at the church.
First Church. Did you?
Was that, and Tom pointed something out, was that the place where there was an extraordinary long wait in the 2004
Yes, that was.
presidential election?
That
So there
was,
was
of course,
complaints
was a
about the size
most
of the facility?
unusual election. Normally, when I voted there, I would walk right in and vote.
Everybody
So
had a
that was
problem
unusual.
that year, I think.
Yep. That was a crazy year.
Yeah.
Before. They were all the way wrapped around the building at 7:30 at night. Dennis
Right.
and Joe and I went out there.
Nor-
They opened until 9.
Yeah.
So
Normally, when there's a voting, they usually have certain spaces kept vacant for the voters, like roped off, or somehow leaving spaces available for people to park. So I don't know if that would be an issue, because I know the flags usually indicate that's as far as you can go if you're campaigning, that you're not allowed to go past those flags. So that was that indicator. But
That was originally promised at the college, that college students would move their cars in that field house parking, but that has not happened, and I don't know who has to see to that. When Elizabeth mentioned the Lutheran Church, the possibility, the Lutheran Church does have steps. The Catholic Church is out 511. Some people would consider it out of town. It would be difficult. It has a wonderful parking lot, and it has a building that's not used for anything that could be used for voting, but it's a long walk for some people.
I'll take a look at some of those and talk to Paul. I will say that one of our priorities is locating space that's no cost to be able to provide for those services, obviously given the reduction in funds that we have available. So we do look for the zero-cost options and facilities. But Oberlin College has been a pretty good partner in that, and maybe it's just talking to the liaison about the day of the election, putting up some no parking areas for the student. Make sure I can't cure the longer walk into the field house, but it makes cure the parking problem. I can't see them not wanting to be partners on that if we touch the right people.
absolutely.
Well, there is concern about the fact that what we've now done is make it easy for students to vote, but not for the other citizens, the regular ones. And of course, there's that usual complaint of what the students come out to vote for, not necessarily in the presidential election, but when they're gotten by local people to vote for certain council people or for certain tax levies and so on. And it just doesn't make for good feeling. And there's been more divisiveness about many things in Oberlin between the college and the community, so that it's not good to enhance that sort of feeling. Thank you.
Thanks, Shirley. David.
Commissioners, David Ashenhurst, also of Oberlin. It's in the past 6 years, Oberlin has gone from 7 precincts to 8, but it's also gone from 5 vote centers to 3. And one of those precincts only has 1 precinct voting in it. So what's happened is that what was previously done in 6 precincts in 4 vote centers is now 7 precincts in 2 vote centers. 2 things drive the costs on elections, and for a minute, Oberlin is no exception to this, like anything else. The commissioners talk about what the Secretary of State ought to pay for as a mandated service that they're pushing down on the counties. I certainly think it's true that the state should pay for the voting machines, because that's a capital thing and that's what the state should pay for. The operations may have to go down at the county level, and I submit it is a matter of the county funding that tries to consolidate vote centers, because it makes it, you don't need any fewer voting machines to do that, but you end up needing fewer poll workers, fewer
The logistics are a little easier.
The logistics are easier and the costs are lower. And this is part of what is driving this.
Yep.
So I guess what I'm saying is, rather than get Paul Adams to talk about the specific things of Oberlin, because I remember all of the consideration, we'd voted in the 5 centers for 30 years. So to take it down to 3, that was, there was some adjustments that needed to be made, but it didn't need to be made quite that severely. And I think there was a cost savings thing driving that.
I'll talk to Paul. One of the things I got to point out to you is the size of these electronic voting machines. We used to be able to have workers that had the small tab, the Chad, whatever it was, you poke
Hanging chads.
Yeah, they were pretty light, and they were in like a briefcase, and they folded all up in a briefcase, and they were easy to transport. Now we have transport problems on those bigger electronic machines, and so the fewer places we have to pay to transport those and to bring them in and set them up, logistically is taking a lot more time and a lot more resources. So I know that that's been part of the consolidation plan, because I've talked to Paul on that, and a couple times we've rented assistance from private companies to be able to get the machines out to the polling places. Problem is we can't set them up sometimes until the night before, and there's a big scramble, so they have been trying to consolidate to be able to provide adequate resources. But we'll talk to Paul and see if there's some options out there.
Yeah. 4 precincts in Phillips Gym is too many.
Okay, understood.
Thanks. And these things happen all over, not just there.
Of course, one of the options is to mail in your ballot. Some of us don't like to do that, or some of us don't think to do that. You start to go out. Yesterday, usually we voted in the middle of the morning. We like to keep track of how many vote. We thought we were keeping track of how the voting turnout was. I voted in the middle of the afternoon yesterday. I hated to get up and get dressed to go to vote, but I wanted to vote for the library levy. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, but a lot of people will think to vote, they want to go vote, but they'll drive, and they haven't thought to get an absentee ballot. They'll drive in there, and they say, oh, the heck with it, and because it's too much trouble, and they don't vote. And I don't think we want to encourage that. We want to encourage people to vote. And it's nice to go to your, at least in Oberlin, it's always, and where I voted before in a small town, it's nice to go to your polls. You like to visit with the other people that have gone to vote. You'd like to say hi to both the Republican and the Democrat and that are working there, and so on.
Thank you, Shirley. Mr. Lubbe?
Commissioners, hello again. I'm here just to follow up on Judge Leski's letter from last week regarding the space issues for the new PSI employees. As you probably know, that's the state dumped this on us at the last minute, and we are going to be having those employees start the 1st of June. And so we really do need a space for them.
I already have some specific guidance with regard to some options, and I'll be in touch with you.
Great. Thanks, Jim. I appreciate
Tim.
it. Thanks, Commissioners.
Anyone else wishing to address the board this morning?
Either side. Yep, come on up.
Okay. Hi, guys.
Hi.
First time here.
Oh, okay. Welcome.
My name is Paul Koziel. I live in Columbia Station. I work for an organization. Actually, I don't work. I volunteer for an organization called the Experimental Aircraft Association. So I'm a little nervous because airports are not probably priority for government officials these days. But we are organizing an event there on May 21st.
Right.
Doug's been great. I've dropped some of these flyers off to you guys, and I just wanted to make everybody aware that it's International Learn to Fly Day. On May 21st, we're giving free flights to adults and kids, and there's vendors, and there's airplanes, and there's flight schools. And it's really a great thing this year, and I'm excited about organizing it. I got a great group of people doing it with me as well. We're marketing, we're advertising, we're inviting the press, and I wanted to invite you guys. In fact, what I have is 3 VIP tickets for you.
Okay.
This gives you rockstar parking.
Rockstar parking.
And access to our VIP lounge, and they're
Where we
providing
do we get hot dogs in the
well,
lounge?
we'll actually probably have something nice with this day.
I'm just kidding.
Soda, pop, and there's probably be a little booze in the back room if you know the right people. Because no, I'm just kidding. But these are for you guys to come this day. It gets you in and gets you a chance to see what the airport really provides to the community. Before the event on May 20th, we're inviting all...
May 21st.
Yes, but before the event on May 20th,
Oh.
we're inviting the press in the morning for a media day. That day is going to include free rides in an SNJ Warbird that's actually stationed at Lorain County through the Commemorative Air Force. The SNJ is a trainer for the Navy, very popular. Almost every branch of your World War II pilots have flown in that airplane.
Cool.
They will be giving free rides to the press, if there's any press here.
There is.
If you look
There's
forward,
three of
they'll
them.
see you on the cameras. You don't have to keep turning around, so we're losing you up
Excellent.
here.
Well, and I would like to offer you that same privilege. A free ride in an SNJ Warbird the morning of May 20th.
Can you do take Mr. Kalo and put him in a loop? We can put it on YouTube.
Anything you want, Tom. Anything you want. We can
Loop-de-loop.
It's kind of funny. We are actually getting the aircraft authorized to do aerobatics maneuvers for people that will actually help pay for it. They are based at Lorain County, a great group of World War II vets. We got vets coming in that morning to give their stories to the press. We've also got honor guards from local area veterans groups, and because it's the day before Armed Forces Day, I want to use this as an opportunity to recognize the current veterans from Korea, Vietnam, World War II, the very few that we have left, and and just try to let you guys know that there's a whole world of flying out there that probably most people are not aware of. It's fun, it's affordable, it's not necessarily a rich man sport. God knows I am no rich man. But I do love it. I do love the passion, and the only way I found out about it was to be introduced to it by another person. So this is our way of introducing it to people in Lorain County. We have WOBL and WDLW going to be doing a live broadcast. We have a band. We've got food. We've got lots of fun activities. So if you could spread the word for me, I would really, truly appreciate it.
Actually, it was brought to my attention about 3 weeks ago, and I'm sure you know there's like an advertisement, a video. Have you seen that?
I produced it.
You produced it? Okay, good. Well, we've been playing it after our meetings for the last 3 weeks, and
have you really?
we're going to be doing that up until the
I
day.
appreciate
So
that, yeah.
it's been out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrote the music.
Yeah, it was very nice.
and,
Nicely put together.
Put the pictures together.
Looks
Thank
good.
You. So,
So, yep.
make sure you take these. I don't know if
You
I
can
can
bring them
walk
up.
there.
Bring them on up. Thanks. Appreciate it.
And if you need more, let me know.
Okay.
And I would truly suggest to take that ride in that Warbird.
Oh, absolutely. That'd be
Especially because
so
I'm
fun.
going to pay for it for you.
All right.
You can have it.
Yeah.
So let me know. I'll give you my contact information before we leave.
Okay.
It's on the. It's actually on the internet as well with the video.
Okay. Good.
Thanks for
Thank
your
you very
time.
much.
Thank you. Real quick, I think I know the answer to it, but I just want to get it out here so people don't have questions. Jerry, we are allowed to take these.
Just put it on your campaign finance report if it's worth more than $75,
Yeah.
which would be the air flight and the VIP.
Right.
Is it worth more than $75? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
What would it be worth?
Well, honestly, I don't know yet because I haven't paid for the flights, but I'm getting the flights at cost for a promotional venue from the Commemorative Air Force. And what I'm doing for the VIP passes...
You need to come up to the microphone. Sorry.
Well, basically, the VIP passes were given to people that are sponsoring this event. We're a nonprofit organization, so we're trying to actually just break even. And right now we're in the red. My wife's the accountant, and she's not very happy with me. But I got 3 more weeks to find some more sponsors. So we have different sponsor levels. We value the VIP pass at $100.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and the flight's probably going to be, the cost of the flight for a 15-minute flight is probably going to be somewhere in the $80 to $100 value, which our nonprofit organization would be happy to pay to get the word out that flying is available, fun, and affordable.
It's just ethics, and we want to make sure we
I know,
do it.
yeah.
So we don't want to be Cuyahoga County.
I hear you.
Recognizing that the board is a silent sponsor since it's your airport.
Yeah, exactly.
So you are a sponsor, and actually Doug McConnell has spoken to me on a couple occasions. I've sent emails to each one of you. He's looking to have one of the commissioners maybe do some opening welcome or something at the airport. And to date, nobody's responded to me, so maybe now I'll...
Honestly, nobody's responded to me either, but I'm glad to see you got the video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a great opportunity. EAA is a national organization. There's about 140,000 members. We build, fly, and dream. it's just another way of spending our disposable income, really. So, and I'm an airline pilot, so I hear about your lost bag story all the time. But when I actually see kids and people actually touch the controls of an airplane and actually fly for the first time, it will really totally change your life. Kind of like perch fishing, like Erie does mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Or walleye.
but if you have any questions, please, call me, call Doug. Doug has been fantastic and helped me out. So.
Great. Thank you very
so
much.
much.
Hope it's a successful event.
I think Ron wants to speak.
Mr. Nabokowski.
A wireless mic,
I don't have it. I give it to Teresa.
Teresa, for Ron. Oh, he's there. He's good.
Well, he's got it.
I'd send a letter. Did you get the letter
Yes.
on this?
Yeah.
And
Commissioner
I'm
Williams
told
has
there's
some
more
more
questions?
Yeah, actually, I'm looking for dollar amounts. I mean, I guess what I'm used to, Ron, is actually having numbers. I mean, I can,
10,000 is a pretty good number.
yeah, I'm looking for numbers. It was in my email. I don't have it here. Neil, can you forward that email to Mr. Nabokowski again, where we're asking for the details? You said that you got 57% of the passport revenue comes from North Ridgeville,
Right.
and you expect the same thing in Amherst.
Right.
What I would like to know is what is the revenue in North Ridgeville, and North Ridgeville being on the border of the county, how do you expect that Amherst is going to get the same thing? I actually like to see a return on investment, an actual detailed sheet on it.
Oh, all right. We compete with passport revenues. We compete with the post offices. This office is designed mostly to attract business from Oberlin, which does an awful lot of passport business. Much of which we
Right.
don't get. The affluent part of Amherst, which is, again, and Vermilion, which are affluent, do a lot of passport business, most of which we don't get, so we intend to pick up those. But that's also, since 2004, before 2005, people had to go to their home county to get a title for an automobile. 2005, the General Assembly passed Senate Bill 85 that allows us to get titles in any county. And we started at first to lose business to Cuyahoga County, which has, at Great Northern Shopping Center, a title office. So people were going there to get their titles. So we were losing revenues. So we put the office in North Ridgeville to steal some of the revenue from Cuyahoga County as well as to protect what we had from Lorain County. We do the same thing. We want to do the same thing with Amherst on the west side. We're losing title revenues to Huron and Erie counties. We expect this office will pick up some from Erie and Huron counties instead of losing it, and hopefully be more convenient for people, our people, to. So it's not just passports; it's all revenues.
Yeah, if you can just put that into a spreadsheet with the data.
All right.
What I'd like to do is just review the numbers. Before we would get these requests where it basically says transfer in, transfer out, and I would like to have a little bit more data on it. I know it's not coming from the general fund, but it's taxpayer money. So that's why I'm just looking
I'd
for
just
the
like
data.
to point out that we generate one hell of a lot of money for the general fund that would be going somewhere else. So you'll give her the numbers. But
Okay, yeah, if you can
every
give me the
delay
numbers
means
and that.
every delay means 2 weeks that move into the next year, and
Right.
or we don't get the benefit of the advertising. So.
Does the Amherst location, don't they have a marquee? Do they have a marquee out front?
They have a sign, electronic sign.
Yeah, and are they showing that?
Yes.
We have pass,
Yeah.
okay. I haven't
Finally
been
got
by
took a
there
long
to
time
see
to get
that.
that changed. Took a
Oh,
long
good.
time.
Thank
you for the
There's still a
couple
sign that
hundred
says the realtors are still there, and it's taking a long time to get that changed.
Yeah.
Everything seems to take a long time in this business.
And did you give us $200,000 twice already this
We
year, or
gave you
just once?
$250,000 last year and $200,000 this year already. So.
Yeah.
And there'll be more.
From the title fees.
Right. From passports.
Yeah.
Limited authority, deputy registrar, and title fees, yeah. So, go. And those two things are not I'm not mandated to do either one of them. We just do them to try to make money for the general funds.
No, I appreciate it. It's just something that I'm going across the board. I'm just tired of going through signing off on stuff where I'm not seeing actual data on stuff. We had the same thing with the server, and they were able to provide the information to us on it.
With all due respect, Neil could have walked into my office and I'd have showed him everything he wanted to see. So we could save a lot of time. We don't have to be governmental about this stuff, you know.
So you don't want us using electronic email for it? So you
Email's
want?
fine, but I think it should be done by now, is my point. You know, if somebody walked across the street or used the email, something in the past.
I guess, you know,
I'm very
in
frustrated.
business, I'm used to doing email because
I
that's
know
the
what
most
kind of business you
efficient
were.
way to do it.
I used to run the Ohio Lottery. I had a guy there who did purchasing for me there, who when I said, do it today, it got done yesterday. Now I come over here, nothing works very fast. Comes over here and sits at somebody's desk for a while. Sits in somebody's desk in my office, no matter how much I complain and threaten to fire. And then it comes over here and sits on somebody else's desk, and then it finally gets to Mr. Cortez, and then finally he'll tell you guys, and then I come over here and explain it. I mean, it really becomes frustrating sometimes.
Well, I'm just saying, we sent you an email over a week ago.
I never got an
asking
email. Who'd you send it to?
Neil, when was that? It went out Wednesday or Thursday, correct?
I can go get the copy, but yes, it was sent out to me at your request.
Yeah.
No, I think there's an email problem here. We'll work
Cyberspace.
on it. Yeah?
Out in cyberspace.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ron.
Yeah.
Anyone else wishing to address the board this morning for a 12-thing agenda? If not, I make a motion to move an executive session as outlined by the county administrator.
I'll second.
Mr. Kalo?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Williams?
Aye.
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.
How about a little trash talk about Lorain County Solid Waste Collection Center in Elyria? The Collection Center makes it easy for Lorain County residents with ID to get rid of stuff you don't want going into a landfill. Stuff like hazardous waste, acids, household bleach, oven cleaners, antifreeze, paint, herbicides. Take it to the Collection Center. It's a drive-through, so it's easy to get rid of scrap tires, even if they're on the rims. The Collection Center also takes e-scrap like computers and monitors, circuit boards, microwave ovens, smoke detectors, even household TVs up to 27 inches. No console models, fluorescent lights and ballasts, reference materials and books, fire extinguishers, all kinds of stuff. Drive through, drop off. Just don't bring curbside recyclables, explosives, medical waste, radioactive materials. For what's accepted and not accepted, visit loraincounty.us/solid waste. The Collection Center near Big Lots at 540 South Abbey Road in Elyria is a service of the Lorain County Solid Waste District, a department of the Lorain County Commissioners.
Pedestrian injuries represent the second largest number in motor-related deaths. In the current report by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, of the 812 traffic fatalities for children ages 5 to 9, almost one-third, that's 254, were pedestrian fatalities. These numbers were just very staggering to me in this office. Most of these were from pedestrian crossings, children not educated in crossing streets where there are sidewalks and obviously stoplights, or where there are no sidewalks and there are stop signs. So basically, it was based on the fact that they aren't getting proper education, or they hadn't any education on how to cross streets with sidewalks or without sidewalks. So that's what really got us motivated to look into this and do something about it.
County Engineer's Office is quite proud to announce that the Safe Routes to School program has been initiated throughout Lorain County. We're very excited about this. To help these children from grades K to 4, teaching them to walk the streets safely is very important to us. We've seen statistics that quite frankly shock us. Many times we read and see stories of pedestrians being hit by automobiles in Lorain County, and it just tears my heart to see these children from K to 4 part of that. This program is to stop that, to help diminish those type of situations and educate these children on walking and crossing the street safely. And we're quite happy to announce that.
Most of our workshop was developed and made in-house. Simulated sidewalks, simulated streets. We have actual working stoplights, the pedestrian crossing signs that actually work, operational railroad crossings. We also have the regular road signs like your pedestrian crossing, your stop sign, your railroad sign. So we have all of these different things that the children can not only visualize, but then we actually interact the children in those situations so they can not only see but they can use these in their learning abilities on how to cross the streets with and without sidewalks. We've had so many good responses back from the children, and of course it's just like anything else with children. When you ask for volunteers, when you're talking in a group of 60 and you can only have 8, it's amazing at the hands that go up. You know, does anybody want to volunteer? Well, everybody wants to volunteer. We make them go over these skills that we're trying to teach them, not only the volunteers but the group as a whole. So basically we have the whole class interacting. So if they say left, right, left, behind you, in front of you once, they say it at least 8 or 10 times before the workshop is over. So we've had many teachers and many principals tell us, and we even had one child that came up to us and said, you know what, Miss Spansky, we were going to cross the street the other day and we remembered, look left, look right, look left. So that was very rewarding. And so I think the repetition, the interaction with the children and with the items in our workshop is very important to them and to us. Before you even go into the safety part of it, they're in awe over the traffic light, and then our railroad crossing signals actually work. So they're just like, oh, ooh. And we get up there and we tell them, and we even give them some trick questions. You know, we'll say, well, we can see that train all the way down the track. Do you think we can make it, because you're fast and I'm fast and we can run? And of course they're very enthusiastic and no, we shouldn't do this. So we teach them that in some urban areas you will not have the gates that come down to keep you actually from crossing, that you may just have 2 sets of tracks, and just because one goes by and the signals stop doesn't mean that another one can't come from the other direction. So we tell them it's very, very imperative that they stay back from the tracks and they wait till those signals stop and to look both ways. And even once those signals stop, to look both ways, and they should never run across the railroad tracks. They should walk and continue to look both ways, because it's not safe and they could fall, they could injure themselves. If they're alone, if they're not with someone, it could be very dangerous, because not only could they injure themselves, they may not have help if there is a train coming, because they are so small. And as you know, some of those tracks are very large, and you're talking in kindergarten through 4th grade, some of those children are very small children. The main thing is that we tell them that only you know when it's safe. You have to make that ultimate decision. So make sure that you know that it's safe before you cross those railroad tracks or a street. One of the other things that we cover in the safety workshop, and it's also repeated in our video, children don't have that perception of the miles per hour. It's very dangerous. And the same thing with trains. We tell them that train could take, forever. It's way down there. But we don't know the actual miles per hour. We decided to use videos. The first one is geared for kindergarten and first grade, and that is Otto the Otto, put out by AAA.
Hi, kids. A lot of times you have to walk to get to places. And when you're walking, you have to be especially careful of cars and bicycles. Oh, no! Those kids are walking the wrong way! That's dangerous. I'm going to talk with these kids. Down at the clubhouse, they're talking about the safe way to walk on streets without sidewalks.
I say you can walk across the street anywhere you want, as long as you look first. And don't get squished flat by a car. That's a fairly simple way of looking at safety. There are actual rules and laws for walking. Yeah, but the most important one is you don't get squished flat. Who's right, Maggie? Patrick or us?
I guess in a sense, everyone's right. The main idea is to get there safely, but there are some rules to help you get there safely, like don't run out into the street without looking.
The second video, we show 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade, and it is put together by the National Safety Council along with Honda, and they developed the first humanoid robot.
This is Michael. Michael, this is Osimo.
How come you dressed in a robot suit? It's not a suit. I'm a real robot. My name, Osimo, stands for Advanced Step in Innovative Mobility. I'm the world's most advanced humanoid robot. I can walk forwards, backwards, and even climb stairs just like a human. So, what's the first rule about crossing the street?
Stopping at curbs.
Correct. First, always stop at the curb. Then make sure no cars are coming. You want to look left.
It's clear.
Then right to see if any cars are coming from the other direction.
That's clear too.
Cars move fast. There might already be a new car to the left. So look left again.
Car coming.
See what I mean?
Okay, he's gone.
Kids love this. They relate to Osimo as well as the younger children relate to Otto, who is an animated automobile. And he tells them about crossing streets. Osimo does the same thing, and he actually goes through with the children and tells them how to cross the street at an intersection with a traffic light, with a pedestrian crossing. He also teaches them how to cross because a lot of children at schools have parked cars. He goes over the issues of how to cross when there are parked cars. So he does a number of different things, how to cross the street when there are no sidewalks. So they both cover the basic skills. One is just geared a little bit more for the different age groups.
I think it was really nice because they had a real-life robot talk to you about safety, and you got to actually do what he said was safe. He said when there are parked cars to make sure there are no drivers in before you cross the street.
It's a good idea because, like I said, the kids could walk through the whole process of crossing streets with the crosswalk, without a crosswalk, at the intersection. What happens if you're crossing in between two parked cars? Those are things that parents don't teach their kids. They go to Safety Town and they learn left, look right, look left again, and they go. And even my own son, who's a kindergartner, he just did Safety Town, and I still catch him flying across the street. And all I have to do is say, Matthew, remember Osimo? And he stops and he thinks and he does all the steps that he was taught in the video.
It was a great refresher, especially for them, now knowing, what to do and kind of even additional things that they may not have been told or considered before.
Most of the kids did their little safety program back when they were getting ready to go to kindergarten. They start out learning all those safety rules. Then as time goes on, if you don't reinforce those safety rules and keep telling them, just like we do as adults, we think we're safe. We don't have to follow those rules anymore. We can do what we want. We can take a chance and run across the road. And I think this program was very good at reinforcing the fact that even though we're growing up, we still have to be careful. We still have to follow the signs. We still have to follow the railroad crossings, especially around here in Amherst. We tend to have a little trouble with the railroad crossings and kids wanting to play on them. So I think it was a good review. I think it was done in a fun, learning way, and the kids really enjoyed it. We were very happy to have everyone here at St. Joseph's School.
In 2009, Mr. Carney felt that if we expanded the program and went into the technological era, that we could cover more schools and help more students. We felt that second, third, and fourth graders would get much more out of it and enjoy it if it was on a computer. We use one disc that's called Walk Smart for second and third graders. It teaches the children where to walk. It teaches them things that they should know about traffic signals. And the third part of it is watching for cars. The fourth grade disc is called Safer Journey. That is in a three-part section with a fourth part that's added called Library, so that if they want to go back in as fourth graders and actually look up anything that they just viewed, it will give them a description. Each one allows the student to interact on the computer individually.
While you move the mouse back and forth. Try it.
We thought the student will look at it, because they love to work on computers, so that they would look at it as fun and a game, and each student can work at their own level or at their own pace. Our response has been amazing.
They enjoy being on the computer, so I think just by clicking and being able to listen and observe those things is more interactive with them. This program is teaching the skills of being more observant as they're crossing the street and being more aware of what's going on around them.
It makes me work harder. We have to guess if the cars can come from which way. Gets my brain on learning. It helps me learn how to cross streets and how to watch for cars.
You have to look both ways when you go across the street and everything, because it would actually teach me something.
You know, sometimes we just think that students know exactly where they should be walking. There's a sidewalk, and we know that they should cross at the light and look both ways.
It tells you what to do and what not to do in the street.
This just reinforces, because sometimes the students don't know all of those things. They haven't always been taught. They are much better off for being part of the program.
If it saves one life, we feel like we've made a contribution. It's our way to give back to the communities.